giving a voice to the voiceless. We share the stories behind our freedoms and the ultimate sacrifice of those who protect us all. This is Patriots Inside the Wire.
Beautiful thing to see the family and friends come together and honor his life and his service to our country.
Great to see you guys out here. This is awesome, really.
Welcome to the Patriots Inside the Wire broadcast, hosted by Gold Star Mom, Tracy Two-Step.
Welcome to this show. It is Wednesday Warriors tonight, and we have a co-host for you coming to this stage right now. Hey, share, grab your friends and everyone. We have a true story tonight, a unbelievable story, and this is a story not for just one person. This is very important. It is about all of us in this country, all of our service members, all of our kids. Please tune in right now. Welcome to the stage, the Tree of Valor. How are you doing tonight, Miss Lori?
Excited to be here, as always.
Exactly right. So, an announcement tonight. Why don't you tell them tonight?
That I'm excited to be your new co-host.
You are.
One of, yeah.
She is. So, we have Miss Lori, especially when we're doing our military music tribute and uncovering our good humanitarian show. And so our guest tonight is actually not just a guest. She's actually one of the original co-hosts of Patriots Inside the Wire, and soon she will be coming back for a surprise with some other things we have working. And the word is tribe, everybody. Tribe. So catch on, because we're moving like a freight train. Right, Lori? It's so good to see you.
Yes.
So we've got comments flooding in already. So welcome. Please share. We are about to get right into it. Oh, thank you, Trish. Please share this and get this out. We're going to give you a true story right now, Linda. I see you. I see each one of you. Oh my goodness. I can't wait for you to hear this. I cannot wait, because it is not one story. It is everybody's story, Lori. Right?
It's such an important story, too.
I could jump tonight and be like, hey, we're going to the inauguration. We're doing this and we're doing that. And I'm like, nope. People first. Let's go. I'll see Miss Amber there, Tree of Valor, our other co-host. Amber, share. Amber will share the heck out of it. And she is a dedicated. I say let's bring up our guest, Miss Heather Baker. PB2, Caleb Smithers' mother. Smitty check is the word of the night. Mrs. Heather Baker is a Gold Star mother, everybody, and we'll get into a little bit more about that. But here she is. Welcome to the show, Miss Heather Baker.
How are you? So awesome. I'm so excited to be here. And I love how you said this is everyone's story.
It is.
It is. Like, it's
true.
Really sweet, because it started like, imagine this 19-year-old kid. I mean, all of our heroes have been there, and I would say probably many of our Blue Star mothers,
exactly,
for that moment of like, oh my God, it's my hero.
And it is I'm making sure we get your story out here, Heather, and it's not just yours, like you said, it's everyone's. But if you look behind Heather right now, you will see her beautiful son. When she mentioned Gold Star mothers, I know some of you may not know what that is. Do not feel bad. You aren't supposed to know. We didn't want you to know. There he is. That is Caleb, a Gold Star mom. Their kid is serving active duty, and while on active duty, they are gone. And you don't need to tell me an explanation after that. Number one, 2 words: active duty, and he's no longer here, and he should be.
That's right.
And now I'm going to let Heather jump over into this, and Lori. So Heather, we've got a lot of news here and a true story about the fight of a mama bear, the roar that it takes, and the journey from the very beginning. I know I see some of you definitely know that in the very beginning. You're exactly right. Heather and I have been.
Yeah.
You're correct. We have worked together on many projects, and this is not a project. This
Mainly
is
just feeling like accepted by a community. Like oh my God, like the need to feel accepted and nurtured and loved by a community. I feel like I need that so bad. And I feel like it's been withheld from me.
That is such a problem in your.
You know, I am sorry. You know, I deeply apologize for how I came across when I first began this fight. You know, as many of you might, you know, some of
don't
you
apologize.
Gold Star moms might remember the Blue Lady who started pounding first and like first thing I could over at Fort Hood, which is where my casualty assistance officer came from, and the casualty assistance office assisted me. And you know, I had trouble, it seemed like, in every nook and cranny, just getting what was deserved to Caleb, what he expected his mother to receive, you know, as a result of what might happen to his service, you know, his choice to serve this nation, and as all of our heroes have. And it's from beginning to end, it's been, you know, it's not easy. You know, we don't go, our kids don't go into it because it's easy, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when Caleb, you know, passed away 7 months into this journey, me as a brand new Army
Can you
mom.
give us something here real quick, Heather? I want to make sure we get this out for everybody. His branch and where he was serving. So it's PV2. She's got it right there for you. Caleb, we say Smitty, but it's Caleb Smither.
Yeah, Smither.
Yes.
But his buddies all called him Smitty. It was his cool name.
It's cool. Yeah, like Sergeant. I totally get it.
I accept you, bro.
Yeah.
You're part of the team. You know, we like you. We gave you a nickname. You know, you're one of us.
Oh, that's so cute.
But, you know, and that's why the Smitty check that we'll talk about and go into is just really an act of human kindness. It's a check of compassion and empathy, and it's something that you can't maybe teach, but you can show with your own dignity and valor. As a member of this entire team, we believe in you. We fully, every parent that puts their kid into this machine, expects them to, you know, like, be a hero.
Well, we raised them, you know, we raise our children, and they end up turning out like us sometimes, meaning sometimes
you've good and the bad.
Yeah, right. They can fight.
Kind of like I told Caleb's I told the Army secretary and Christine Warmuth, and then the Army Inspector General Donna Martin. You know, I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 21 years, and all of my kids don't come from the same kind of homes. You know, they're raised in different kinds of homes, and it's up to me as the teacher to guide them and direct them and give them what they need to have a fighting chance out in society and to be good humans. You know, and show your power. We talk about your power, pride, ownership, working together, empathy, and it is your responsibility. And it's real cute. I have my little students put on their power like it's their superhero uniform. And we put on our peace shoes, and we put on our truth belt, and we zip it up, and we put our growth mindset helmet on, and we, you know, and we talk about how to be a hero. At the end part of that, I always say, because you are your very own, and the kids all say superhero. and then
Aw,
Oh,
down.
I
Yeah,
love that.
for them to realize, and I tell them this all the time, you're going to have to get yourself out of your own messes one of these days. You know, your parents aren't always going to be around, and you're going to have to get yourself out of your own situation. And so you need
And
to.
sometimes when they can't,
You
when
can't.
they can't now, Heather, that's what you've been doing. Because as they get older, sometimes they can't. Something happens, and then we step in as mothers or
Advocates.
families. I do want
And
to
that's why
siblings,
really,
fathers.
like, I was just so brand new at being this mom in the military and this Army mom. I was just reaching out to some of the Facebook pages and saying, hello from Lubbock, Texas. I'm Heather Baker. I'm Caleb Smithers' mom. You know, whatever you
we're all dying to hear this story. We want to hear the story.
I am too. Yes.
Just because you only have so much time, and I don't want us to miss any of this.
Yeah.
I want to get
So,
to the.
Heather, he joined the military with pride and passion, and he was serving, and it was 7 months.
Yeah, about 7 months into his journey, he has a situation. he thinks it's his the pain he's feeling is due to a head injury that he got while serving in the motor pool. He thinks that this, you know, he thinks that might be what it is, and so when he finally is able to be seen by a doctor, which is after, he's had a phone call with someone in his unit and reached out to this person, and his head injury. Anyway, you hear him crying. It's horrifying. I've had to walk through like his entire investigation, but it is very thick and very, there's a lot of misstatements and things that don't match up, for someone that has been educated, or, like, it's just like on just like basic common sense. It's like red flags everywhere. But yeah, like,
So you were seeing red flags at what point?
On this trackline vehicle. And so this was like maybe a week or so before, as we've discovered later. But at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I knew that he'd hit his head, but but that's all I'd been really told. And so, you finally get your the CID investigation, you finally get the autopsy report and things like that. And you start piecing things together. And what I had to do was investigate my own son's death and get down to, the meat and heart of it all, and ask questions that weren't being asked. And, there were gag orders, not to talk to me, tell me details about the case. But the fact of the matter is that Caleb hit his head, and he was experiencing some pain sometime later, and he went to the ER. Eventually, the command took him to the ER, and after he'd missed like formation, and they have to come pull him out of his room, and he's wearing night vision goggles because he can't see. And he goes to the ER. Well, in the investigation, it says the first time he was turned away from the Womack Army Medical Center and asked to seek his primary care provider and on a head injury. And so what he thought, at the time, Caleb, what we know now is that the head injury didn't cause what actually killed him, which is acute bacterial meningitis. Natural causes, they say. I will dig more and further into this and find out more eventually about how he actually got the acute bacterial meningitis. That's been a big question. So the head injury being a red herring is what it's said in the investigation, and that it didn't have anything to do with his death at all, but yet no prophylactic was needed on base for any of the other service members who had been taking Caleb to the hospital, to the ER, and, putting cold towels on his face. There was a young lady who finally, she came over after he had made this phone call, I believe on the 13th of January. And she didn't need any kind of medication because it took them months to find out what it was that killed Caleb. And so nobody else experienced these situations. So nobody else got acute bacterial meningitis. So how did he get that? We're still trying to figure that one out, but I think we're on the right path.
Well, it's not that. So I'm a truth teller, so I'll say it, Heather.
Can't say it, but I have a pretty good idea and know what's going on. But anyway.
But we're going to give you more. So clue in here, everybody. We're getting there.
So he's brand new. He's been in the Army only 7 months, and he's been at Fort Bragg, his first and final duty station, for 7 weeks and 4 days. The command in the investigation, the CID investigation, his roommate is spraying Febreze. And by the way, he was in his room. And the reason I know when the last day Caleb, there's so many questions about when was the last day anybody saw Caleb. Well, nobody opened his phone. Nobody got his phone records. There was an affidavit, but then.
So we're missing part of the story though. So he gets sick.
Yes.
Right. And then you go to Febreze. There has to be something between there.
I'm sorry. He gets sick. And yes, ma'am, he gets sick.
Like, I know the stories, but I want to make sure everybody else.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for holding me accountable to the line here. So he goes to the ER a total of 3 times, I believe, but they say 2. Okay. So he finally goes to the ER, and he gets medical care, but it is not the basic standard of care. He's throwing up, in water. He can't keep water down.
So they should have kept him.
They should have kept him. Yeah. He's, as we found out later, after I finally got his real medical documents
through FOIA, right, Heather?
I had to go through Congress to get push on it. Through to the, call the WAMAC, because I live over here in Texas, and I want those records, because we were
a lot of work.
Medical malpractice rebuttal, because they initially denied Caleb's claim, his medical malpractice claim to the State School Act, and saying that it was an independent contractor that was involved. And so
in medical,
they could not,
on the base in medical.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Back to Caleb went to the ER twice, and that they will agree to, they will fess up to, or that they want to share the medical records with me.
So what happened after the second or third time? He goes back to the base.
Yes, ma'am. He goes back to his room, and he enters his room at like 10:58 in the morning. And by the way, his last text message was like at 6:30 in the morning or something like that. And I'm assuming it was to whomever took him to the ER. He goes to the ER on the 15th, returns to his room about 10:58 in the morning. And he's never heard from again. And I'm the one was talking about, I'm the one that ordered his phone records. I dug into that because I was like, there's pieces of this that we're missing in this investigation. And we're not,
somebody dropped him off. He didn't drive himself.
Yes. Somebody dropped
him off.
Could not see. In fact, his handwriting,
he couldn't see, and they sent him home.
Guide his hand. It says in the medical records that this nurse had to guide his hand to.
And they sent him home like that.
And then they sent him home
running a fever,
his vital signs were out of this world. He was running a fever. His oxygen levels were saturated. He couldn't keep any food or water down. He wasn't eating anything, but he certainly couldn't keep water down. And he had the worst headache of his life, and he couldn't see. And the nurse had to guide his hand to the line to sign him out of the hospital.
Why did they decide he should go home? Like, if there's a short answer for that, because
I think it was just the decision of the doctor at that time, and the nurse even notated in her notes that I can't remember exactly how it's phrased, but it was she mentioned that either she didn't agree with that or didn't think that was a wise idea or something.
The nurse thought that?
The nurse notated something to that degree
notes.
That in the notes.
The hospital.
So they send him home.
Yeah.
They send him home, and then
send him home, and then he dies on his floor. He's found on his floor
in the base.
Yeah, he's
in his barracks.
Yeah, 19 years old, left home 7 months ago.
So then, how did you get to Febreze then?
Okay, well,
so that was what day? The 16th, right?
So there were some folks that were charged to check on him, but it was a 4-day weekend, and his buddies were more interested in partying in that 4-day weekend. The corporal couldn't remember who he was hanging out with and acted defensive when he was being asked questions from the CID investigators. His roommate was interviewed over and over again, but and just mentioned,
So back up a second, everybody. He had a roommate. This is why, Lori, there's Febreze in this. So she'll get to that. But remember, there's a roommate. When you're in a barracks on a base, I want everybody to understand, maybe you haven't served or you've seen a base. You're on a base, you've got a barracks. That room is what, 8 by 10?
Not very big.
It's very small.
This room had a common area in it, and it had 2 separate rooms and a separate bathroom.
Okay.
And so there was an inspection coming up. His roommate's knocking on the door, he says, and leaving Post-it notes on his door. No response, of course, but he just keeps doing that, starts smelling something foul in the room, just starts spraying Febreze. Come on. I said, look, guys, a mouse, roaches. Okay, there is stench coming out of small things that die, is my point. Okay, we're talking about a young man in the 5th stage of decomposition. Putrefied and mummified is what the investigation said. Reading that, it took me 10 hours to get through the original CID investigation. 10 hours. I started at 4:00 in the afternoon and ended at 4 in the morning, and I couldn't.
It was long, or because you were totally out of your mind.
Investigate and look things up on the internet and call people and ask questions. And
well, you're your own detective, so basically, you have to be your own detective. You have to lead this investigation as a team. Which, if everybody remembers, you mentioned something earlier. I won't go backwards, but it's been a long journey, and going through something like this, you end up finding other people, and then you figure out you've got to start becoming a detective. You got many hats. You're a mom, which is very difficult, but you also are your own detective, your own warrior.
And you are the one that is speaking for the dead. You are the one that is, I've tried my hardest to remind myself when I want to be that dragon, that fire-breathing dragon, that I'm representing Caleb. And I want to try to do my best to represent Caleb. And, he's given, I feel like, I've kind of gotten, I feel responsible to make sure that I represent him well.
Well, you're representing
Always
him.
hit it right on the head, but I'm thinking from the heart and feeling from the heart, because it's really, this is, I can't bring Caleb back, but I want to make sure that like Lori's hero is taken care of. And then if there's a check that needs to be given, if somebody needs to go check on somebody, that it's done, it's taken care of. To us, it's like a no-brainer, right? I mean, it's just compassion.
So what happened from that then? You clearly went crazy after that. And what did you just have happen?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know. I mean,
she went into warrior mode.
I
Right.
don't know. Like
we all would.
Here's the deal: is I kept myself from going crazy by going into warrior mode and putting my boots on the ground, getting up every morning, working out. Taking one day at a time, one moment at a time, giving myself the space I needed to really do this thing the right way. Because. And I had to realize that I'm an educator, that I needed to educate on what was going on. But I had to raise kind of holy hell in a way, to push this thing forward. But I guess inside I was boiling, but the way I tried to represent myself was more as an educator. And at the same time, I'm like coming at it from just a caring and loving mother that cares about not just, look, I'm a teacher. I mentioned to you, I'm a teacher. Like, my heart is for my students and my students' families. That's humanity. That is, that's who Caleb was, but yeah, I had to basically eat, sleep, and drink Caleb's case just to get anything moved.
To really understand why would he be laying there that long? No one is checking up. This is clearly not a head injury from the accident of your head hitting there as you're working on the base, where a lot of things happen. Whether it's stateside, it's like 85%, right, Heather? So the deaths of our U.S. military service members that are gone. And even daily. So, but the number is astounding. Those that die on U.S. soil, the percentages are unbelievable.
Yeah, there was a study by Congress about 4 years ago that says 75% of our service members die non-combat, and of that 75%, 94% die on U.S. soil and I say, like, on a base they swear to defend.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, so Caleb was in there from the 15th of January was, I believe, the last day that nobody checked on Caleb, first of all. But there were people that were charged to check on him. And it was a loose orders, they said. And they said when the command came to me and brought me the final review, which is in this bolt binder right here, is the final review. And this is what they handed me sitting across the table from me, and told me that there was no protocol in place on base to check on an injured soldier. And I said, there's no protocol in place to check on an injured soldier. And I know this is upside down and backwards perhaps for you guys, but it's right here. And, it's on a base that takes up over 4 counties.
Is that really true, though, that there's no protocol for that? Is that true?
Well, it's true enough that the Army Secretary wrote new Army accountability policy.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to get to that part. So actually, there's actually been justice coming around. So
yes,
I don't want to lose our audience here.
I mean, it's been like, this is an incredible story, and it's brought me a lot of faith in humanity and just the process, which we think and we feel is corrupt in a lot of ways. And I don't know, like, I'm just like, thank you, God, and thank you, Caleb, and thank you all of our service members who I believe legit have guided me and like directed my path. But I definitely believe that it was through just slowing down and teaching and educating on what was going on. So I had to show some of the statistics. I had to talk about the GAO research that says 1 out of 6 of the medical practitioners at a military institutional hospital are even certified. And you can just Google this stuff. GAO research. I can always send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. So basically, you're your own investigator. We kind of jumped all the way to Caleb's in his barracks. No one has checked on him. Somebody finally found something. What happened? Someone walked in a room and someone.
So what happened is Caleb on the 21st of January. So all the way from the 15th to the 21st of January, 2020.
So it's been 6 days.
And I say 6.5. And here's why. Because on the 21st of January, Caleb missed morning formation, morning PT. He missed a doctor's appointment and he missed work in the motor pool. And nobody came and checked on him until like 2:30 in the afternoon on the.
How about all the days in between there, though?
Nobody.
Nobody.
So, I mean, didn't he miss all the things those days?
It was a 4-day weekend. And this happens a lot, where there's some, shenanigans that go on a 4-day weekend. Things go down on a 4-day weekend, as I'm being told by other service members.
But even still, being on a base, actually, there's protocol that should be there.
Of course.
And clearly
Yes.
your nose doesn't
And
work.
so it did not happen.
Free for all. I bet, seriously?
But this is 5.5 days. How about the 5th day?
What a week.
Right. How about the 5th day?
Organization. The 5th day, nobody. It's radio silence.
So they didn't.
Everybody's got their excuse. Everybody's got their excuse in these investigations. Everybody has their excuse for why they didn't. One of his NCO in his unit, in charge of his unit, went off to some training and said, "Oh well, I put so and so in charge of that, because I was gone."
Where was his
I'm like,
roommate?
"Yeah, but and he says when he got back, he got back on a Sunday. And I'm like, well, thinking to myself, well, why didn't you go check on Caleb then?
And the smell.
How can you, okay, we're talking a body that is 7. Oh my God. We're talking a body that is in the 5th stage of decomposition, putrefied and mummified. I can't even imagine that, guys. But I know, based on what I saw with my own eyes, what my son looks like in that decomposition, I had to see it for my own eyes. And I know that I have done, harm to myself because of that. But I feel that I needed to do that. His death scene. I have questions, still have questions about his death scene. And the Army still has yet to send me a copy that is like respectful. First of all, they redacted the death scene from the investigation. And they did it because they didn't want to cause me any more emotional harm. And I said, hand it over. And so they sent me a copy in black and white, and each page has 6 frames, and it's all like hard to see in a day and age where we have all this technology and capabilities, and you put Caleb's, autopsy photos on a disc, encrypted, that I had to figure out how to break into just to put, to get him off the pictures off of there. And you can't send me his death scene photos in color.
So who found him then? So at some point he's missed all the things.
So
he's missed formation.
His team found him. They all decided to go finally look for him.
Who's they?
The folks in the motor pool.
So the other troops, like I'm being asked right now, they're saying, where are the other troops? That base is not empty. Where was everybody?
By millions of people on his base, thousands of people on his base.
Okay, so they didn't check, period.
No.
And now you have a unit that decides on day 6.5 to go figure out who's spraying Febreze. Let's get what the heck.
That's his roommate. And Caleb was with Echo Company, 37th Engineer Battalion, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division, 3rd Squad. I'm just gonna say it.
No, I want you to. We're here to tell the truth.
And, in the reopened investigation, and I'm so grateful for, here's the deal. It took so much effort to even be heard at this level. I was like, popping my little pop guns up in the air from Texas, trying to be heard. Thank God for Jody Arrington, my congressman, for Ted Cruz and Cornyn, who have helped me to be heard by the Army Secretary and Inspector General. And I know there's other families that also have walked the same path and have gotten, to this point as well. So I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm the only one here.
No, this is about you tonight. This is your show. So actually, we're focusing on Caleb.
And I appreciate everyone's journey, because this is a Leviathan, that we need to kind of hit at all different angles and show the holes so that we can tighten up the ship. It's all about making sure our service members get to come home, preferably.
So,
we love that they have the valor to die on a battlefield, for their country, but we always want them to come home.
Well, every day is a battle, because you're not in the military to go sit at a desk and work in an office. So every day is a battle in the military when you sign up on that dotted line.
That means every day is training.
Yes, every day is.
If these guys are going to leave a soldier behind to this degree, what does that say about the military, the health of the military itself? What does it say about what is happening in other units? I know there's lots of another, leadership situations. We know there's toxic, abusive leadership here and there. We know that there are lazy commands, and we found one of them, shirking responsibility. They're tasked to check on somebody and they don't. They're chilling and hanging with their buddies. And
Heather, I know a lot of it, so I'm going to ask something, and if you can't answer it, it's fine. So Caleb should still be here, number one. He did not die because he hit his head. It is not a meningitis situation. Does everybody remember? I'm just going to use the word vaccine. My own child serving was loaded up with 1 million vaccines to go serve in Iraq. I've never seen him so sick, literally.
Wow. That's something.
Yes. And I'm pointing that out for a reason, because Caleb happened to get a lot of his vaccines as well, just as all of our service members do.
Yeah.
So the timing is very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is interesting to me.
Yeah, he did have some vaccines that he took several days before he started experiencing symptoms. So I don't know what all that is about, but
I'll say it because I know it.
When I read the investigation, when I read the the autopsy report from the doctor, and it talks like it talks about a specific type of bacteria. And then I see things in some of the photos that are just like confusing. Some of the autopsy photos and some of the death scene photos are just they're gruesome to the core, but it just like his room is a disaster. You know, to me that shows how much how bad he was feeling. You know, because it's ship shape, you know, over in those situations. Supposed to be. Is anyone checking in? What's happening?
Well, just like as a former NCO, Sergeant Carter's here writing us that not only would he have done it, but he would have damn sure made sure that somebody at least went over there and checked on him. So I want to say thank you to Sergeant Carter for his service.
Thank you,
Sergeant Carter. There's so many amazing leaders out there that whenever they hear about the story, and I guarantee you, their blood is boiling.
No, and they're so disappointed. I'm sure that. I mean, we commend you, honestly, honey. That I'm just going to say it for all of us. We commend you that you are still here yourself.
Oh God,
that is a terrible, terrible story. I mean, almost unbelievable. I mean, we believe it because you're telling us, and we know you wouldn't lie about it.
And here we are.
That is just sick.
Here we are on the 15th of January, 2025. Today.
Oh.
I'm glad you pointed that out, but it's
this is what
dates right now are hard.
Believe that Caleb died.
Wow.
You know, and I know like people are like, why isn't she crying? Hey, you know what? I have compartmentalized so much of my grief. I don't know if you feel that way sometimes, Tracy, like where you compartmentalize things so that you can barrel through something, get through it, you know.
You have to. I mean, dates are coming up. I have a date coming up February 1st, and I can tell you right now that I'm full of anxiety.
That's the same day we buried Caleb.
I know.
That is crazy to me. That every time, that is just so crazy to me.
You know, I've heard people say it's been not to make today worse. I mean, tomorrow worse than today, but actually, other guests you've had on here have said I've read where they've said on their, you know, in their Facebook post that the next day almost feels worse, like the day after the anniversary, because it's the day you realize, shit, it really did happen.
Well, leading up to a date like that, Heather, is that what we're saying? I'll say for Tracy, leading up to February 1st, right now, it starts about 2 weeks. Actually, it starts way before, but I kind of crumble a little bit 2 weeks before, and I hold my breath, and I'm praying to get to February 2nd. That's me. And I do know the majority do say that leading up to a date the stress is just a lot of trauma, and you go through trauma in your body, and it's a very toxic thing. Now, Heather, you took that and you decided to make yourself a detective, an attorney, a private eye, a researcher to understand laws in Congress. Our congressional candidate there, Jody Arrington, we want to definitely say thank you to him. We also have an attorney involved who has been incredible, helping with Heather along the way. And we have to say thank you to those who do come along the way and say, you know what? She's not screaming for no reason. There is something here that's not right. And the puzzle is not fitting. There's pieces missing. And so the pieces missing, I've kind of pointed it out here because, again, I'm the truth teller. And you are too, but you're in a position as the mom right now. You're used to being able to be a host or something, but you're in a seat right now where you're talking about your child. So that's very difficult. So trying to fill in those holes for you too means you've been fighting. They found Caleb's body. And did any of those individuals that found his body, what did they do? Did anybody freak out and say, this is not okay? What the heck? Why is this happening?
I mean, I think that they all definitely had guilt written all over their face whenever I showed up on base for the memorial. And I made friends with them all. And I went and thanked every single one of them and said, thank you so much for whatever you did to help my son, Caleb, become a better soldier. And I made some of them cry and shake in their boots. And I know who the people are mostly, because they friended me, it's the strangest thing. And then they like, whenever everything came out, when I started finding out the truth, then I'm being blocked and I'm being, all those things. So yeah, it's a lonely
You're
road.
talking about social media and people in general. So I've been telling our audience here, there's good and bad people everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's the military, it does not matter if it's in our world. We have to band together as a village and build our own tribe.
And my story, I feel like our stories, like when we see the need for, illumination, for this translucency, when we see, all the different little things that each one of our cases brings to the table that illuminates what needs to be fixed, it is very helpful when we can link up and be that link in the chain that was broken for our children. And your story inspires me. We should all inspire one another. And I hope that at the end of all is that families can feel inspired to, dig in, put their boots on the ground and walk, it's a trail of tears. It really is, but walk this path to justice. And,
Do we have justice?
So
what has
many.
Jody Arrington done?
What's that?
What does Jody Arrington do? Yes.
Man, that man has been so great. He's so great to veterans, but he's been extremely amazing to our family. He called me like at 10 o'clock at night, the second after this, after the first day that I had learned Caleb had passed away. And he began helping me from the very beginning, because I said they wanted to get Caleb home in about 3, maybe 4 weeks. And he's like, that's absurd. No way. And so he helped push for Fort Bragg to send Caleb sooner, which is what needed to happen. But then I soon discovered that his body was, they told me a whole week after they initially notified me that his body was too decomposed to be viewable. I'd been planning an open casket for an entire week. How disappointing and heartbreaking. That stopped me in my tracks, and I literally stopped everything, and I went to my room and I was just like, done. I will pick this up tomorrow. I'm done now. You definitely I'm down for the I started seeing the red flags like literally right away. I mean, I had to call Caleb's colonel myself from the very beginning. It had been 48 hours and he still had not contacted me. It'd been over 48 hours. Wow. So I started calling the base and I was like, hey, yada, yada, yada. Can I please speak to this person or that person? My son just passed away on your bed, and had to start inquiring from that end, from just the basic line into Fort Bragg. And finally the word got around and, I held the colonel accountable right then and there when he finally called me. I pulled about 10 people into a small room that I was in and just was like, listen to this. Help me listen to this. And I was like, Colonel, you know that you should just, you should have called me sooner.
How were you not screaming? I mean, freaking out.
She's done that.
I would have been ripping the pictures off the wall.
I didn't want people to think I was crazy. So I was trying to be really reasonable about my upsetness. but I mean, when you have to hold grown people accountable, it's not easy. And I mean, that wasn't the first person I had to speak to, like that. His second investigator on his CID investigation, was shutting Caleb's case down, even though there was, in the military justice itself says that negligent homicide, is punishable. And they were closing his case. And I was like, you haven't even opened his phone. And here I'm like, I have his phone records and I know the last day. Cause I was like, when was the last day Caleb was ever heard from? Cause we would have these conversations on the phone, me prodding him for information, all my questions, and him trying to gaslight me.
So Heather,
So
it's hard because we're talking about your actual child. It's your son. We've had to go through the period where now you've discovered you cannot see him in a closed casket. You have broken down. You have screamed. I'll say that for you. Fast forward to Jody Arrington and getting into Congress has been an uphill battle. However, I'm glad because we end up finding people along the way who say, you know what? I know that things are really bad right now, and I do not judge. Number one. Number two, let's figure out how to get some answers and accountability. Now you've got Jody Arrington, and something's happened recently. So
I mean, I had to wait. Like I said, it's the Trail of Tears. We all had to wait this thing out as we started learning more about what was going on in Caleb's case. Then Jody could think about what it is that he would wants to do to help us, even like what can he even do, and then what could he even do to help the American people, or the veterans or our service members, what? And so we were able to discover a few little nooks and crannies that he could help us with. And one of those being in the State School Act itself, in the National Defense Authorization Act, we just were able to pass, not just through Jody Arrington, but it all started with him. Cornyn and Cruz both, supported and helped us through the Senate and get this Private Smither Act passed, which basically just says you have to notify the family if there's been an independent contractor involved in your service members' care at a hospital, military hospital.
Is this actually passed?
That's what passed.
Okay, say it again. Say the name again.
It's called it's the Private Smither Act.
Okay. And what will this do?
Well, it allows families to know, to have the translucency to know if there is an independent contractor involved when they've had a service member that has passed away or received ill care, insufficient care from a medical practitioner at a military hospital. If they're an independent contractor, what happened with Caleb is that we weren't notified, and the statute of limitations, ran out on anything that we could do in the world to get justice, to get this doctor from, first of all, practicing, or at least have some sort of they need to be
responsible.
Yes, held responsible for this death. And in fact, Caleb's doctor that he saw there is still working at the Womack Army Medical Center.
Where is that? A lot of people won't know where that is.
That's the base hospital on Fort Bragg.
Right.
It's the home of the special forces. It takes up over 4 counties. It's giant.
I have to ask, just for the audience here. I would know where it is, but I'm making sure that everybody's following. So the Private Smither Act for accountability, as far as health
That
with
is
Jody
for,
Ernst.
yes. And very gratefully,
It has passed.
it has passed. Yes.
Where?
Through the National Defense Authorization Act. Yes.
Okay.
It was this.
Heather, that's
Oh.
a big thing. So take a breath and understand what you just said. You just said that something happened and something was done, and an act has been added as an accountability factor for health for our service members ongoing. That is a big, big win.
Yeah.
It really sucks because Caleb is not here. But what you've done is you have made it to where those along the way that are serving right now on each base or overseas, wherever, the accountability of the Private Smither Act involving the health accountability is a very, very huge.
Yeah,
thing.
they need to be, if they're going to deny my medical malpractice claim and say that they couldn't do anything because they didn't even look into his claim. They just looked to see if what doctor it was. And they said, oh, okay. Denied based on that one thing. And when we did the rebuttal and were able to prove the medical malpractice, we actually ended up winning it. And we actually just won it recently. And so that's incredible too. Like there's so many things at every level, but our rebuttal was able to show and prove that Caleb was getting, his medical care was not the standard of care.
He was ignored and neglected.
Yeah,
as a result of abandoned. He was abandoned.
Go back to your bedroom, and here's 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, and here's some nausea medication that we give to cancer patients. But here you go, buddy.
So now this act, how does a person in your position now use that?
That would require I don't know who it would be. I guess the claims process themselves
It's
to
within the Army accountability.
Let the claimant know that there is an independent contractor involved right off the bat, instead of waiting until the statute of limitations runs out. So they're supposed to now make sure that they let anyone that files a medical malpractice claim through the State School Act know if there is a medical malpractice claim, if there is an independent contractor involved, they have to let them know right off the bat instead of waiting.
The parents.
Yeah. Or the wounded warrior.
Right.
Because these people are going to have to live with whatever has wounded them and however they've been wounded for the rest of their entire life. And they deserve to.
Sergeant Carter is saying it best. It won't bring them back, but it puts an exclamation point on their negligence.
Absolutely.
And it takes care of those serving.
Here's what happened. And here's why we don't want that to happen. And here's what we're going to do, instead. The other part of this, and this is amazing, but the Army Secretary, whenever I walked into her office at the Pentagon, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the Pentagon. I'm going to be standing in front of the Army Secretary. No big deal. I'm going to just take deep breaths. God just put the words right in my mouth. It was amazing. And I was so grateful. But the first thing that she said to me was, ma'am, I'm sorry that the Army failed you and your son. And then I was like, ma'am, I needed to hear you say that. And then the next thing.
That's rare. That's rare. I want to point
that out.
That's rare.
And so then I was sitting at the table with her and I said, I want to show you this video. I had prepared the 7-minute video that humanized Caleb and showed exactly who we were talking about. And she watched it very graciously. And then I told her, I said, nobody checked on my son. And she said, ma'am, and she stopped me. She was like, can I just tell you, nobody checked on your son.
Oh.
And I said, oh my gosh, I needed to hear you say that. And then she said, I had the Inspector General, Donna Martin, reopen Caleb's case. And we discovered all of these things and all these different people that needed to be interviewed and questioned and held accountable. And some of them were, and some of them had already gotten out of the Army. And they were advised by their counsel not to participate in the Inspector General's request.
Investigation, yes.
To be a part of the investigation. And of course, those people were probably the most responsible.
And you can just elect not to participate?
I guess you can.
Especially,
Saying,
yes.
I'm like, can't you withhold
Wow.
like,
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so rude, but come on, my son died here as a result of this negligence.
Darn, I wish that worked in the civilian world, right?
What
Well,
can you
we're
do?
talking about, so
can't
we're
do that.
talking about veterans. Once they're already
Sorry, I love
out.
you, veterans.
So Heather, it took a while, right? It took a while. We're talking about people that were already out of the military. So in order to get them to speak, it's got to be a subpoena, number one. Number two, even active duty, you have to subpoena them, which is what I did. You have to send a subpoena in order to do this. Not all of us can go get and pay for attorneys and do everything that it takes in order to do this. You have put the exclamation point by saying the accountability factor. We have to take care of our own. We have to check on each other, just as a genuine basic principle in the human life.
Actually, and the Army Secretary, so she had Donna Martin, Inspector General, investigate. And the recommendation was to create a new Army policy and also to take care of some of these people that needed to be reprimanded. And I was grateful for that. And she did write a new Army accountability policy that talks about, making sure to do face-to-face checks. And it goes into detail. I mean, I believe I might have shared that with you, Tracy, the documents of accountability. I have them on my Facebook page. We'll put them out for you guys to view. But the amazing thing is that it would have taken me and all of us a long time to get any kind of accountability policy like that through Congress, because of just, there's just everybody has to jive, you have to ask all of these people to help you and all of these people to help you, both Democrats, both Republicans. It all has to balance and equal out to prove the need for something like this. And so I knew that my work was, all of us families have been banging on this door. I am not the only one. And all of them are screaming accountability. And so, I think that, all of our energy and prayers went to this moment. So I thank all of you for believing in me or praying for me or, maybe leaving me alone to let me just.
No, that is true though. Like I've talked to so many families that say that.
It's just everybody is screaming accountability. And the thing is that the Army Secretary wrote it for her Army. I told her, I wrote her this letter back and I said, thank you, because you're like a fierce mother lion taking care of her Army. And it was beautiful to see that. And, there's a lot more accountability that needs to be had. This is just an accountability check. I'm calling it the Smitty check. Congressman Jody Arrington's calling it the Smitty check. He has it. It has not passed through, we need the Senate side of things on this now. We've got the House with the thumbs up. What it is, the Smitty check passed in the House Armed Service Committee's NDAA conference report this year, which requires that the Army implement the check. And it also gives the House Armed Service Committee the authority to ensure the Army is implementing that check in its new policy going forward. And so that's amazing. We got the language of it in, the NDAA itself. And so it's there, but it's in a conference. So what I'd like to do going forward is advocate for legislation that implements the Smitty check across the DoD branches, instead of just being the Army. And of course, I'm going to have support from everyone. And, it's, I'm going to have, support from organizations. So I'm here. I would love to have.
Basically, it's support from the community, support from people. The first word I use is
about
people.
me. This is about, it's a Smitty check because it's, it's Smitty, Caleb, my son, but it everybody loves a Smitty. I've met so many Smitties out there that are just the coolest dudes. Who wouldn't want to check on a Smitty? And we can do it here on American soil. We can do it here as, civilians. And we can do that as Army moms, military moms.
We're now Gold Star moms. That's what they call us. And Miss Lori up there is a Blue Star mom, meaning her Marine. So we always say thank you. I do want to put this message out. We support our service members, those who serve or have served. It is about people, whether it's good or bad, because you have good and bad everywhere. And when you band together as a village, and you create a tribe, that tribe moves forward for everyone on that train. The train keeps going. It is a machine where we're all working together. We all have our working parts, and it'll keep moving to help and support our service members who are now serving currently. So the accountability factor is a basic human concept of kindness, empathy, and taking care of our own. Anyone with a heartbeat, I don't care about anything else. A human heartbeat, there is no other excuse to leave someone alone like that. So the accountability factor, I say to you, well, number one, you know what I say. I don't say sorry. I say it sucks because I tell the truth. And then I say exclamation point because you just did something really, really big. It's not easy. It is not easy. Heather, you know that. You watched me spiral.
I'm telling you, right. Well, we do. Like
I've been there.
My peaks and valleys too. But it's like the David Goggins thing. Who's going to carry the boats?
We're not politicians, but we end up working.
It's look,
this is interesting.
I cannot just sit over in Lubbock, Texas, picking my teeth with cactus needles. I had to get over there, boots on the ground, and try to do something to save the ship it's burning.
Heather, I got a message for you, and I liked it. So in NCO Creed, have you read that? Here it is.
Oh my
Sergeant Carter, the NCO Creed. My two basic responsibilities will always be uppermost in my mind: accomplishment of my mission and the welfare of my soldiers.
Yes.
In my day, we didn't take that mission lightly. The oath, foreign and domestic, we did not take that lightly. Thank you for that, sir.
Yes, and I have spoken about the creeds over and over and over again. Caleb died by the same creeds that he swore to defend, and that he was chanting to me nonstop and singing the airborne songs. And he was 19, full of the spit and vinegar, like he was ready to go, and he was excited about being a member of a team. And he looked up to the people that he called his heroes, his commanding officers. And, my two basic responsibilities will always be uttermost in my mind, the accomplishment of my mission and the welfare of my soldiers. When I read that, I was like, oh my goodness, it's even in their literature, even in their how they operate, their operating manual. If you're going into battle or, and that's a fierce thing, that's a strong, deep commitment. The same notions are uttered in the Paratroopers Creed, and it says that I will never fail a fellow comrade by shirking any duty or training and fighting as a team. And Caleb, like I said, devoted his life to the creeds that ultimately failed him. But he loved wearing that uniform, and he didn't even want to take it off, not even when he could.
Wow.
And he would wash the dishes and do the laundry when he was home for hometown recruiting, just for a blip between his airborne training and going to Fort Bragg, his first and final duty station. He, stayed over here with me for about maybe 4 days. Went to my school and did hometown recruiting with his recruiter. At my class, I'm an art teacher, so I teach the whole school. So all day long, we shipped in every grade level, and he talked to the whole school. And he's created memories of those kids, and they'll always remember. And we did Christmas cards for soldiers, and we were a member of the team, and we were trying to help grow the team. And he had just a beautiful spirit, but it's no different than any of our other amazing service members, and their families. You guys, like I mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, the spirit of our kids at that age, that 19-year age, it's pretty beautiful and amazing to watch. I know it takes a lot to get a kid through high school.
You're not old enough to drink, but you can go in, you can serve, and you can go overseas. You can do all of these things. As we all have our different journeys. I'm going to say journeys. We all have our different paths. However, to me, we are not different. That's like saying in the world today, not military, just in general in the world, no person over here is better than the other. Are you going to try to tell me that we can get away with this in one area of our lives and in the world, but in the real world, you can't do this? I don't care if you're red, yellow, blue. I do not care about anything. You cannot do this. You cannot put a human over another and say, I am better than you. And you know what? I don't care. Go away. I'm going to throw you away.
And when it's all said and done, if they keep getting away with all these cover-ups, they're creating a culture of it. And I just see it as if this is the best you can do for Caleb, it's the best you can do for any of our service members.
And, there's good ones out there. I do want to reiterate this to everyone out there, but we want you to know the stories that are not being told literally in mainstream, and they wouldn't be, because we are not trying to give you bad information about the military. We're just giving you a true story.
I started out just loving and having, like I mentioned before, we were trying to build the team. I had so much love and compassion in it for the Army. I wanted to do my own service. But this has really spun me for a loop, and it's been hard to digest. And in so many ways, like being a Gold Star family, there's a lot of dimensions to that as well.
There's a lot of dimensions, but it's not, you do not put one person over the other. Lori, what are your thoughts on this? Because I do want to make sure that we get into showing some pictures of Caleb and let them see Caleb literally. Lori, what do you have for us?
I think that she just touched on something that really should spin off into having her come back and be a guest to talk about, because I know you only have so much time and you're about to end. So I feel like talking about the next step of this, does he have siblings, right? Because nobody ever talks about the siblings.
Siblings are a big deal over here, and right? She does.
We also don't ever talk about grandparents. I don't understand that. I've never, maybe but one time, ever been given. I have hundreds of pictures of Gold Star parents with their children, trees of them, different parts of the country. But I literally, and I'm a grandma, right? And
my mother,
I've never been given, of the hundreds of pictures we have, I maybe have 2. of the grandmas with their grandchildren. And
You
I
know,
know those grandmas are grieving because the grandma's grieving twice. She's grieving
absolutely.
for the grandchild and she's grieving for you.
Where'd she go?
I don't know.
She'll be back. What I'd like to do right now, Lori, is looks her internet dropped. What I'd like to do is let you all see some actual firsthand pictures really quick, and that's normally what we do. And then we, on this segment tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire, as you're all following and tuning in, we say thank you. I'm seeing every bit of your messages, and we see that how much you care. She is back. There she is. Let's bring Heather back up.
Sorry about that.
No problem. We roll right to it. What I'd like to do is show some pictures of Caleb right now. And with that, I will play a veterans song and we will get into the finalization of this show within this last 15 to 20 minutes. And then you can give your final thoughts of what you'd like to say and close with that. And then we will have a part 2 is what we'll do. That's a great idea, Lori. Now, Heather and I will actually be together. We are going to DC. And while we're in DC, there will be another interview that is being done in DC, right, Heather? So I will be right there with Heather, making sure the specific, it's hard to be the mom in that seat. I've done it. I have done this and I'm doing it right now, actually.
Well, I love how Lori kept me in line. She's like, okay, you're way off base. Like, let's get you back.
You're good. But
I just really wanted people to hear the story.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, I'll be there when you're doing this interview in DC. And that way, as a mom, you do get into the emotional roller coaster of it. And it's so hard.
So many points to the
filling in these
story.
pieces in here about the Smither Act. That's a huge piece. The fact that for days on end, no one checked in. The fact that everything that's redacted is now a false statement. The fact that the inspector, everyone that you've met with, they understand the family needs. So Gold Star Families gave all. I'm not talking about a organization. I'm talking about people. People. We are not affiliated with any organization that has to do with that name, Gold Star, but we support all because all gave some. On Patriots Inside the Wire, PV2 Caleb Smither should be here today, right now. And as we go, that's correct. They will be in DC too. Correct. Sergeant Carter will. Sergeant Carter, all will follow up with you.
Oh, yay. That's awesome.
Yes. They're part of our trip under Gold Star. It's above you. Gold Star Family Foundation, Fallen Heroes National Foundation, and the Two-Step Act. So the Two-Step Act is actually what led us to be able to go to what's about to happen in DC. And Sergeant Carter will be there with his wife, Kim, for their son, Logan. I have to say the name when I see someone and I know that their kid.
Tracy, I just want to say this really quick. Your walk through the Two-Step Act has, been one of those guiding lights to me, because when you're out here on your own, just dog paddling in the dark oceans of grief. And this, I'm a new Army mom at this point, I didn't know a lot of things and I had to learn a lot of things really fast. And so Tracy, and many others, but Tracy was one of the first people that I met that really helped be that, translator. What does this mean? And why is this? And
well, you should never have had to learn those things for the love of God. You should never, right. Neither one of you should have had to learn the things you learned.
No, but I'm so grateful for your service, Tracy, in the Two-Step Act, which helped guide me, along with Terry Caserta and her advocacy with the Brandon Act. Like, you two guys have been so helpful. And Cami Del Barba, her son is Des Del Barba. She is the one I found my attorney through, Daniel Maharaj. And she's also been incredibly inspiring to watch these fierce mothers. Margie Taylor, there's a lot of other, you know, fierce mothers out there that I gained.
Mariah Moat.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into naming because I'm afraid I'm going to leave
some of
someone
them are.
out. And
I
so
will.
Y'all
But I'm
can.
just
Oh, I'll
saying-
name
I'm not going to forget
Christiana
anyone.
Sweetwood.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
we will do
yes.
a show. We'll
Yes,
do a
there
show
are
where we
so
do a
many.
roll call. We'll do a roll call show is what
Yeah,
we'll
we
do.
should
because
definitely do that. In
That's
fact,
a great
we
idea.
are a family of a non-combat
We are.
death. We would love to hear from you. Please message one of us and we'll start that roll call, man.
Or the suicide moms who there's kids are like,
Yes.
was it or wasn't it?
I
Right?
think
Don't let me get
too,
started on that list.
saying their
Right?
names is
It's
so
another
important.
show too.
So, and showing, like, and if you're advocating, please let us know. We want to help you. We want to support you. I need to be inspired by you. And so please, please, please reach out to us. We want you to be a part of our team.
Well, Heather, your journey is one that is at the part where you take that deep breath and go, okay, it's finally being acknowledged. It is finally understood that this should not happen, the neglect that is there. And being able to do the Smitty Act itself
Yeah.
is a big deal. That is a very big deal. So I say, you can't say congratulations, but I say keep fighting, stay strong.
Yeah.
And then for people reaching out, you can go to patriotsinsidethewire.org and send us a message, patriotsinsidethewire.org, and get a hold of us through the website that way and fill out a form. You can
And
actually,
that's why we said at the beginning, this story is about all of us.
oh, of course.
No,
But
so-
anybody, we have a lot. I'm engaging with the audience here, and we have, I just want to tell them all that we are definitely all a village, and we've had a lot of people chiming in. So we want to tell them all that we understand we're all like this. Like where do we go? What do we do? But the biggest thing that I want to say is, as we are all going through things in life, whether it's what we're talking about or something else, kindness, number one. Number two, judgment. Number three, let's just back up a minute and maybe take a deep breath and say, it's not my position to judge. And in my book, and it may not be for someone else, the only body that's going to judge me is up there. And then trying to stay positive in regards to working with the politicians. We aren't politicians. We are mothers. Trying to stay involved and active and working with them takes a person who can take off that layer and say, I have to go into business mode. I have to go into a mode, kind of like Buzz Lightyear. And that came to me because of my own son. But Buzz Lightyear has like a Spanish mode and English mode, or you turn him off. It's like we have to go into separate modes. And that's how you have to do it. And then you find the people around you. And sometimes in the beginning, you're spiraling. And I say, just stop the noise. Stop the noise. But Heather and Lori, I have some beautiful pictures here I'd like to show. We've got more people chiming in here. I have some beautiful pictures of Caleb really quick that I would love to show to one of the songs that was sent in by a veteran. And do that, and then collect your thoughts on what you would like to say and close with for the show. And remember, there will be an interview coming out of DC. We will keep you posted on that. We can go live straight from DC too, so we will keep you updated as well. I can do remote too, so we'll do that. And
we also
right
need to
now,
remind everybody to send us these pictures of these fallen heroes with their families. Send them to Tree of Valor so that we can get you on the, get them in a place where they're going to be remembered forever.
Correct. And if you follow the page, whether you're on Instagram right now or X or Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're at, unless you add it to your playlist, you like it, you follow it, we can't get to you. We can't do anything until you do that. And we can't continue as the show to help others. So you've got to do that for Patriots Inside the Wire as well. So Heather, I want to make sure that we pull up Smitty. I always say Smitty, it's Smitty. I want to pull up Smitty and a picture of you here. And I want to let everyone see Caleb. And so right now, Lori and Heather, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. Stand by.
Can't say you know me unless you know drunk and drive. You can't say you love me and not love Mr. High. You can't praise me for the camera and shame me at the bar. No, you can't have me. Only take the good parts. I know it's not easy, but it sure ain't that hard. Time in between, babe, that tears me apart. When the stage light pollution seems to block out the stars, it's the neon glass sparkle that makes up the good part. long enough to see the good part. Coming home.
I took a moment of a deep breath silence for us after showing you that is Caleb Smither with his mother, Heather Baker, for PB2. Caleb, the Smitty check, hashtag Smitty check tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire. That music that you just heard is by our veteran who has supported Patriots Inside the Wire from day one, and that is actually Brooks Herring. Tonight it is Brooks Herring. Malachi could not be with us out of Nashville. So again, actually the interesting part is that is where he's from, is where Fort Bragg is. Someone pointed out to me that they loved that you said Fort Bragg, Heather. And that's why I was smiling at one point, everyone, when I shouldn't have been smiling, because I saw your message and I thought the exact same thing. I say Fort Bragg. Thank you.
Well, here's the deal: is that they're going to have to really prove to me that they're Fort Liberty.
Thank you. I like that part. Lori, it has been great having you here as always as the co-host. Heather, I'll be seeing you very soon. But tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire, this is the humanitarian interest into an individual, a family, not just the mom, but the siblings is a very big important factor when it's
Absolutely.
Gold Star Family Foundation and Fallen Heroes National Foundation. Whether you're military or not, it's about people.
Yes.
And so, Heather, what message would you like to close with?
Hey, well, first of all, thank you so much for letting me hang out with you ladies tonight, and all of your people that you. I really thank you so much, guys, for listening to this, to my story, to what I've been through, and I thank you so much for giving me a voice to be able to share this, so that this is not about me, this is not about Caleb, it's all about making sure that our service members are protected on their own territory. They deserve the rights. They deserve all the rights that they don't get. We have all of these amazing rights that they defend. They fight to defend our nation, and they don't even get to have the basic rights. So my goal is to make sure all of our service members have just the basic human rights, and accountability check, just a face-to-face check on those that you love, check on those that you are required to check on. And if you are an NCO, that is a requirement. But at the end of it all, it's human kindness. And how do you teach it? You can't really teach it. You have to be it. And that is what actually inspires those to shoot for the stars and be that person that everybody loves. And just check on somebody, just take care of them, take care of the people that take care of you. Who is protecting our protectors? Okay. Be a hero.
Thank you. That's the best way to close that. So on Patriots Inside the Wire, we're glad that we were able to do this. I call it giving a voice to the voiceless. And I see every one of you, the families here. Yeah. Again, go to patriotsinsidethewire.org. There is a way that you can send us a message. Literally, you can go to Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you can think of right now in this digital era we live in, and find Patriots Inside the Wire, Gold Star Family Foundation, Fallen Heroes National Foundation, where it's not just about our military, and the Tree of Valor, who will be coordinating and partnering with Patriots Inside the Wire. Ironically, Heather is a part of Patriots Inside the Wire, so soon she will be back as well in regards to bringing you some information in our Tuesday tribe full of music and love and more going on with what is going on with the Tree of Valor at the gallery as well. So thank you tonight, Lori, from the Tree of Valor, our new co-host here on our Wednesday episode to get out these stories. And then Heather, it feels weird for me to say Heather Baker. Heather, PV2 Caleb, so they're the Smitty check, the mountain you just moved for the accountability for those who are serving. That mountain will not crush and abandon a service member and their family. And even if it's one person, you need to understand that you just saved and did the job that your son signed up to do. So you just did that exact thing. So I say that, and I say keep going. Do not apologize. And this is
I can't wait to get the first save. I want to hear someone that did a Smitty check, and you have to put it in the middle of your life. I want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear about it. Let's hear about them. If you have a Smitty check story, then please share it.
Here's what I'll do real quick. Watch this. So stand by, Heather. Ready? You're going to do it. You do it. Hold on.
What am I doing? Smitty check.
There we go. You did it.
Can I read something? Can I read
Please.
something? I think this is a great way to end this with what she did.
Okay.
And this actually is from a firefighter, which I think is so relevant right now. But he is from Burnsville, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And he's from the Burnsville Fire Station number 11. His name was Adrian. And he survived. But this is what he said. He said, all you've got is what you have done for people. When you're dead and gone, it's all you've got. You live your ministry, that's your life. What you do for others, how you help people, that is your funeral. When you're dead and gone, that's all you've got. It's what people see that you did.
Yeah.
There's really no point in having a funeral because you've already preached it. If you can help others that are less fortunate than you, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean that exactly. If you have,
Beautiful.
you know, I couldn't just sit here and have knowing what I know, not say anything and do something for the families. I'm a teacher, for crying out loud. I have a lot of compassion for my students and their families. And I'm going to just say, yeah, go ahead and sign up for the military without having tried to do something to make it better. You know, I want my students to be able to serve in their time, this time-honored tradition. And it gives me the chills. It's so beautiful. It can be so beautiful. And I want to just thank all of our service members that are serving right now. And we mothers love you so much that we're on here talking about things to make where you work better, because you are valuable and you deserve it. And we love you. So
that's right. And I always say family. So the Gold Star fathers, the siblings, the family. The siblings are a big, big part of our program. And so we will get out more about that later. But Smitty check, hashtag Smitty check tonight, everybody, with all of your messages. Thank you so much, Heather. I enjoyed being able to share Caleb and give a voice to the voiceless again tonight.
Thank you.
Lori with the Tree of Valor. We'll have more coming to you. That's beautiful. I think I should end this, Lori. I have something. And I do believe it fits. So let me look.
I love what you do, Lori.
She does a lot.
Your son's picture is sitting right on the counter, but right on the desk, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Well, what I have is, I'm going to leave it up to Lori. Lori, I have the one that you already have. But
not
I
your
have
chair. Just
one.
do not your chair. It's always not your chair.
Well, you haven't heard this one, and Heather has. Heather, you've heard I Got My Flag, and I think it fits Heather.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do need to.
Heather,
do you have any tree pictures?
Tracy.
Girl.
This song is amazing.
You have to get them to me. I'm a one-man show, everybody. If you want to help, I welcome it. Come on.
Yes.
And Lori's going to be doing that. So I will have, I'm sure Amber now and you will make sure that it's all in here. So I Got My Flag. And then the Tree of Valor is taking these songs and giving you a look into what they do as well. So if you've paid attention to any of the shows, you're going to see all of this, literally. And what I'll do, Lori, is I'll make sure when we put this out, we have that clip as well. But we do have I Got My Flag, and I think it fits you, Heather. Here, instead of dragging, I don't want to go down. I want to up the tempo here. And what I want to do is do that because Heather's heard this one. And Lori, you can tune in and say where you want to put this one.
Okay.
Okay, you're the only one right now that can use them because I'm in the middle of publishing.
Ooh.
So, and then Heather's going to be working on that venture as well. So music is medicinal. It's the only way I can get through it. So, and then we'll be continuing our journey. So here we are. I'm going to get that for you, Lori. And is it thetreeofvalor.org, correct, Lori? Got it. Stand by.
Yeah.
minutes for the fight, but I don't need a symbol, don't need the lines. I just want my son, I want back my time. I got a flag, but I want my son. Tears on my face, but the war moves on. Why do they keep acting like nothing's wrong? I'm screaming inside while they play their songs. I got a flag, but I want my son. The sky's still blue, but it feels so gray. Every step I take drifts further away. The bullets he wore, now they just sit. I can't touch his face, can't handle it. He fought for a dream, for the red, white, and blue. But the cost of freedom, they never tell you. A mother's heart breaks, it'll never heal. While the world keeps turning like it's no big deal. I got a flag, but I want my son. Tears on my face, but the world moves on. Why do they keep acting like nothing's wrong? I'm screaming inside while they play their songs. I got a flag, but I want my son.
Love that song.
They don't see the face when they salute, don't feel the hole left in my roots. They talk about honor, they talk about pride, but who's gonna hold me when I cry at night? The world's so loud, but it feels so cold. A hero story, but it left me alone. Tell me why the brave have to die so young. I got a flag, but I want my son. I got a flag, but I want my son. Tears on my face, but the world moves on. Why do they keep acting like nothing's wrong? I'm screaming inside while they play their songs. I got a flag, but I want my son. He took the oath, he gave his life, and I lost my hope. Folded tight in my trembling hands, a piece of cloth I don't understand. I got a flag, but I want my son. I'm just a man who wants a baby back. I'm just his boots, he took the oath, he gave his life, and I lost my hope. Folded tight in my trembling hands, a piece of cloth I don't understand. I got a flag, but I want my son. I'm just a mom who wants her baby back.
There you have it. That is I Got My Flag specific tonight. Lori, you've never heard that one. I know that Heather has.
No, I have. I just can't hear it. I couldn't
Oh,
hear
really?
it. I couldn't hear the other song either.
Oh, well,
Oh,
Heather did.
So I hope your audience can hear them now.
Yes, they can.
Okay, yeah,
Heather,
I couldn't
Heather
hear
as
it.
well. So, not
Yeah.
sure what happened.
No, I did
there,
hear
but
your song. I did hear that song.
You did, right, Heather?
Yes.
I heard it last week.
Yes.
I heard. Yeah, but
Lori's usually one of the first people who get a sneak peek.
That's what I mean. I did. Remember last week?
Yep, I do. And then I sent it to Heather. It's in the middle of BMI right now for publishing.
I love it. I can't wait to sing it.
I love it.
Yep. We'll do it together. It's in the middle of publishing. It is powerful. Sergeant Carter said that's pretty powerful. And it's not just about Mom, Sergeant Carter. It's about the whole family. So maybe I'll change one line in that song. But
amazing song.
I Got My Flag. So, and it's not just, veterans, when they pass, the families handed that folded flag. This is not just about Gold Star families. This is about honor and taking care of those who serve and have served. So again, thank you for joining us tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire. You can find the Tree of Valor at thetreeofvalor.org. You can go to patriotsinsidethewire.org, and you can find us literally on every social media platform you can possibly have. Patriots Inside the Wire, the Tree of Valor, Miss Heather Baker, for PB2, Caleb Smitty, hashtag SmittyCheck. Thank you for joining us tonight. Lori, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for co-hosting. Heather, thank you, and keep up this fight. I'll see you soon.
On my side, we can do it.
All right, definitely. Lori, It's been a great night. Wrapping up here. Any words before we roll out?
Just send us your pictures so we can honor your heroes.
Exactly. Let's get the pictures. Lori's the one who's going to do your pictures and set it all up. It's beautiful. Trust me, I've been with her at an event. And then from there, you can look at me for music and organizing people and connections for Patriot Fest coming along here soon in music. And that's where Heather will step back in and start working within that area and build this tribe. We have a village we have now a tribe literally on Tuesdays. Tuesday tribe. Thank you for joining Patriots Inside the Wire. Hope you have a good evening. When you find this show, whether it's live or you're watching it now after, please remember to share, like, follow, and let us get the stories out that nobody else wants to get out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching another episode of Patriots Inside the Wire, hosted by Gold Star Mom, Tracy Two-Step. Help us broaden our reach. Like, subscribe, and share.
Don't stop it hurts. So I'm my brother Two-Step.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Heather. We're closing out now with Patriots Inside the Wire. Have a good night. Everyone out there, remember to do good for people. Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Bye.